BBC Sounds, the Scottish Football Podcast.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland with Liam McLeod. It is Thursday, September the 7th, 2023, and the eve of Scotland's latest Euro 2024 qualifier in Cyprus. And we are in Cyprus. We're in Larnaca, which is where the game will be taking place, Scotland's fifth match in Group A. After a magnificent 100% start to the campaign, they are looking to extend that run to 5 successive victories. We're currently sitting here on the beach in Larnaca. It's a bit blustery, so if you're wondering what the noise is in the background, it'll probably be that. But you will also hear the noise of former Scotland international Steven Thompson, who's joining me for the commentary of the match on Sportsound, live in BBC Radio Scotland on Friday evening. It's a 7:45 UK time kickoff. Tomo, you looking forward to it?
Very much so, Liam. Yeah, I am. I'm full of confidence, which is strange as a Scotland supporter. So many times in the past we've approached games where we're kind of nervous about them, but there's a kind of unnerving belief that this team will come here and get the victory that we want and need on Friday evening. I think Steve Clarke has changed the mentality of not just the players but the supporters of Scotland. Previously there was always a bit of trepidation no matter who you played as a Scotland fan, and he's turned that around, and there's a real belief in the camp amongst the players, and rightly so given the results. They've won 7 of their last 9 internationals, and as you said, they've started this campaign incredibly well. But I think the supporters as well, now when you talk to them, they believe that we're going to win every game, and it's the first time I can remember in a long time where we're kind of puffing our chests out a wee bit and saying, do you know what, we're Scotland, we're a good team, and you're going to need to be good to beat us. So yes, I'm confident, and I'm very much looking forward to the game.
Let's hear now then from the Scotland skipper Andy Robertson, who spoke to the media ahead of this latest huge match.
Look, it's a lot easier to captain a team when you're winning all the time. The fans are on your side, the country's on your side, which we've felt since the start of this campaign really, but it brings different challenges, of course it is. And to be fair to all the lads, not one of them's getting ahead of themselves, and if they were, then we would be quick to shut them down, the experienced lads in the group. That's our role within this. But all the lads are fully focused. Since we've came in, since we've met up this camp, there's been, like I said, there's been no talk of people getting carried away. It's all been, we need to go over to Cyprus and try and get a result, and that's pleasing to hear, because that was exactly my mindset coming into this week. And now the game's nearly upon us. It's up to the lads to go and show what we can do, and like I said, it's get the result that we believe puts us really close to qualifying. It's always good to know the Tartan Army have travelled well in their numbers. They always do. They always support the team, and hopefully we can give them something to shout and sing about come tomorrow night, and then hopefully we can celebrate a win with them after it. But like I said, we have to be wary of what we face, and just now we are very wary of that.
Remember, you can subscribe at BBC Sounds and at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. We're with you every day as we preview this game, and when you look at the situation they're in just now, there's a real trust, I think, between the supporters and the players. They know that this team can get the job done. When you think back to the last away game in Oslo against Norway and those incredible 2 minutes when Lyndon Dykes and Kenny McLeod,
when you punched me in the face in a commentary booth, that was good fun.
It was your arm that I punched.
Right,
it wasn't your face.
It was still assault.
As I said at the time, you're a lot bigger than me, so I wouldn't be punching someone your size in the face. Trust me, I wouldn't do that to anyone, of course.
Yes, of course.
But they're riding the crest of a wave just now, and long may that continue.
Yeah, and actually the game that you've just described there, the Norway game, was our worst performance in this group. But we found a way to win the game. Obviously, Kenny popping up, a former teammate, with a brilliant finish, a brilliant goal, when it looked like we weren't going to win that game. And it was an incredible moment, an incredible 2 minutes, as you rightly explained. But another sign that it just seems to me that the stars are aligned for us to go to Germany next summer. And I don't mind jumping the gun with that now, because previously you would have been like, oh, don't curse it or whatever, but I've got full belief in these players. We're a really, really strong side, full of players that are playing for top clubs, and should we win tomorrow night, when we win tomorrow night, then it puts us, for me, in a situation, in a place within the group that I don't think that we can't qualify from, put it that way, because when you look at the other teams that have qualified previously, second in the group, now I hope we win the group, but even second in the group, the points total that we'll have should, in my opinion, be enough.
Well, they're on 12 just now, and I know that Wales qualified with 14 points as a second place side last time around in a 5-team group.
Yeah. So no, I do think we'll qualify, but you want to do it the right way, and I do think we're capable of winning the group. Obviously, very difficult games to come. Obviously, Spain away, which they'll be looking to get a wee bit of revenge on us. They weren't happy with our team after the game.
Could be done by then.
They were well beaten.
It could be done by then. It could be done next week. I mean, the scenario is right now. If Scotland
are you going to run us through
Cyprus,
them, because there's a few scenarios?
Yes. Well, the main, more realistic one, the other one that you're talking about, involves Cyprus taking something off the Spanish. You can't see that happening, right? No, it's not going to happen. Done it before. In fact, Alex Gogic, who plays for Cyprus, St Mirren, of course.
Legend.
His dad played in the Cyprus team that beat Spain in the late 90s. So there you go.
Your research is incomparable.
I just it's definitely comparable. But that's the other scenario. The more realistic one is Scotland beat Cyprus, Spain beat Georgia on the same time, and then next Tuesday, when Scotland are enjoying the anniversary friendly against the old enemy, all it needs is a draw in Oslo between Norway and Georgia, and Scotland are going to Euro 2024. No questions asked. That's them.
It wouldn't be any surprise to see a draw between Georgia and Norway. In Norway, it really wouldn't. Georgia are a decent team. All right, we dispatched them, but they've got quality players. Norway seem to be.
They don't like the rain, though, do they?
Well, it might not be raining. Oh no, it was raining that night. Right, okay, I get your point now. Yeah, no, that was a very unusual evening of broadcasting. But yeah, I mean, it's probably been quite an unusual group so far to see us cruising through it. You've had that rain, you've had the last-minute goals in Norway. So a plain sailing victory tomorrow night would be just the ticket.
Well, the Scotland squad arrived in Larnaca on Wednesday, 2 days before the match kicks off, to perhaps acclimatise to the conditions here, and because of the lengthy flights, 5 hours to get out here. But Stevie Clarke spoke to the media 24 hours before kick-off.
Yeah, difficult game. They're always difficult opponents for us. There's never much in the games. 2 late goals at Hampden probably put a little gloss on the scoreline that we didn't deserve at the time. So no, we expect a tough game. Conditions will be hot, but it was pretty hot in Norway when we went there as well, so we've had some experience. It wasn't too cold in Glasgow before we left. It was nice and sunny, so listen, you just have to deal with the conditions whatever they are, and make sure that you get the result that you want. We just look to continue to do what we do. We go from game to game, we respect every opponent, we try to get 3 points, and then we move on to the next game. So that's what we'll do again. The squad is pretty settled. It's something that we've tried to do for a number of camps now, is to have a very settled squad. And I think the run of results that we've had is a consequence of having that stability within the squad. Good place in the group, halfway in the group we've got maximum points. You can't do much better than that. Some of the performances are some of the moments within the games we can improve on. We don't think for a minute that we're the finished article, but it's a pretty good place for us to be.
I'm just considering what Steve Clarke's going to do with the team. I would imagine it'll be pretty similar to the side that started the Georgia game and the Norway match. I think he only made the one change. I think Billy Gilmore came in for Ryan Christie in the Georgia match. So it might just be between those two as to who comes into the side, albeit Lyndon Dykes hasn't been playing much recently. He's been carrying an injury, so you may be looking at Shea Adams.
Yeah, Shea Adams has scored 3 goals in his 4 games so far in the Championship. Obviously, his team are relegated. So, Lyndon Dykes hasn't played the last 3 games. Is he going to be up to speed to play? Shea Adams, as we know, is trusted by Steve Clarke. I think it might be Shea Adams. You're right, Steve Clarke does not change his team much. He's very, very good at keeping the group together. Even the players who aren't playing are desperate to be part of the group, and that's a difficult thing to manage, and he's done that incredibly well to keep everybody really happy within the camp. I do think it will be McGregor and Gilmore, who's obviously been playing brilliantly recently for Brighton, sitting, and then in front of them McTominay, who's just been a goal machine for Scotland, hasn't played a lot of football. I think he's only played around about 3 minutes of football as subs this season.
Yeah, not great. Yeah.
Which isn't ideal, but he's a very, very fit guy, and obviously John will play with him. And then the only other change that he could make would be to kind of tinker with the back three, I suppose. But Tierney's going to play, Robertson's going to play, Hickey's going to play, who's again been playing really well. Porteous, Hendry. I mean, for me, I think that's how he goes.
Very good. I was actually going to go through the team bit by bit, but you've just gone and told me
you
what it's
can
going to be now,
dissect it in more detail if you would like.
Well, you got Angus Gunn in goal, who has only conceded the one goal. It was a penalty, Erling Haaland penalty. He's been terrific. He's just hit another milestone at Norwich City. Defensively, I mean, right back, Nathan Patterson's playing every week for Everton just now. Aaron Hickey likewise at Brentford. You just go with Hickey.
Well, he's in the team, and Steve Clarke doesn't really change his team about from the players who are in. And if winning games, they've won their previous games, then he's not going to change it. I don't think. We're lucky that we've got two very good young right backs for Scotland, wing backs if you like, and they're both playing for their clubs just now, which is fantastic for us. So there's options there. Obviously, we know about our strength at left back. At centre half, there possibly is the option to have a few permutations there, but I don't think he'll change it. He's very loyal to his team.
Scott McKenna's been doing really well for Nottingham Forest.
Of course he has. He's been playing every week in the Premier League. So
it's probably between him and Hendry rather than the other two. Obviously, Porteous will play on the right side. Tierney is obviously playing on the left, and that's it. And great for him to get that move to Real Sociedad as well. He made his debut against Granada, and he's apparently a real standout at the weekend. So that's a major boost for him. And if you got Kieran Tierney playing brilliantly when he was barely getting in the team at Arsenal, your old teammate Mikel Arteta refusing to play him, of course. You know, you've got a guy now. He's back in a starting 11, playing for a top club. He's going to be playing Champions League. You've got a proper weapon on your hands.
He's arguably our best player that we have in the squad. So if you get him firing on all cylinders, then it's only going to help the team. And if he's up to speed in terms of his fitness, he'll leave that kind of left centre half position. And we've seen previously how well he links with Robertson down that left hand side, driving at defences. It is a big part of our armoury down that left hand side when those two combine. So yeah, I mean, it's great to see him playing regularly, because obviously it's been a very stop-start situation for him for the last year and a half or so, and a player of his quality needs to be playing every week for a big team, and he is doing that now.
Coming into the kind of similar category to the likes of perhaps McKenna and Christie is Lewis Ferguson, who has been terrific for Bologna. They love him there. He scored against Juventus.
Yeah, I saw the goal. It was brilliant.
A couple of weeks ago, and he did to bide his time to get into the Bologna team, but now he's a first pick. You know, as I say, they love him there. How far off being a regular do you think he is in the starting 11 for Scotland? And I know it's
such
difficult.
a shame for him, because he's in a position in the team. It's like asking, you know, a left back if they're going to get in the team. They're not, because Andy Robertson's there. So in the centre of midfield right now, and you're talking about leaving guys out, the likes of Armstrong and Christie, among others, in there. But Billy Gilmour and Callum McGregor are going to play. Callum McGregor plays every game when he's fit for his national team. He was brilliant. He was brilliant in the Old Firm game last weekend.
Yeah, he was back to his best, actually, wasn't he?
First half, he totally dominated the game, ran the game, and in front of them, I mean, you can't argue with Scott McTominay's goal return in this campaign. He's looked a real threat. And John just plays because, you know, he's John. He's super John. Where do you put in Lewis Ferguson into that? And don't get me wrong, I think Lewis is a terrific player, and he's doing really, really well, and it's brilliant to see our young talent flourishing in different cultures and playing in different leagues, top leagues, Serie A. But I can't see a way into the team for him just now. But, you know, when you look to the future, then there's definitely going to be a place for him. He's just got to bide his time, and that's part of being an international player. You've got to wait on your opportunity.
The squad is important, and actually when you look back, you didn't notice at the time because we were all over the place, but in Oslo, after you were attacked by the dragonfly,
that was a moment,
and the goals went in. I think it was after the first goal, so Lyndon Dykes scored. They go over into the corner to celebrate. Now Steve Clarke had made a few changes at this point, and one of the guys that came on was Liam Cooper, who's not in the squad for this one, unfortunately. He's got a knock, the Leeds captain. he went over to the group of players celebrating, and he obviously enjoyed the moment, but he was straight into them saying, come on, let's get back, we're going to take centre.
Get a winner.
He obviously thought we could get a winner here.
Yeah.
I mean, that was real proper leadership. And this is a guy who's been on the... I know he started plenty of games, I think maybe even at the Euros.
Yeah.
But he's not guaranteed a start, Liam Cooper.
No.
But there he was, he came on, such an important role to play. So the squad does have a huge role to play.
It does, and I think that's been part of the success for Steve Clarke. He's got a ton of leaders in that changing room, in that squad. They all really like each other. They all love playing together, training together, being together for these international games. And if you create that kind of club mentality within an international setup, it's only going to help you. And he has managed to create that. They don't like losing goals. I mean, we've lost one goal. It was a penalty kick.
But a soft penalty as well.
Yeah, our clean sheet record's been very good. So we're hard to play against, we're hard to break down, and that's part of Steve Clarke's teams. When you look at his teams, certainly of the past, that other teams don't enjoy playing against them. You're going to have to earn your win against us. However, when you flip that round, we're a real threat as well. We have threats from all over the pitch. So he's created a brilliant team, he's created a brilliant group of players, and that's why he doesn't experiment with it too much, because what he has there is, at this minute in time, brilliant.
What sort of game are you expecting out here on Friday
evening?
I mean,
one.
It's going to be hot. I mean, I don't know if we'd be able to sit here and do this if it wasn't for the wind. You can still hear the breeze in the background now and again, and that could be the saving grace if there's a breeze blowing through tomorrow night. But it's going to be 30 degrees round about then at kick-off time, which is going to be, I think, 9:15.
Is it?
10:45 actually, maybe local time, come to think of it. 7:45 in the UK.
Be a late night tomorrow.
But it's how difficult is it to play in those kind of
Very.
searing conditions? They had it in Oslo, of course. It was boiling that day as well.
Oslo was roasting, yeah, absolutely. It's difficult. Hopefully the temperature will have cooled a wee bit by the time local time kick-off comes round. The pitch will be sticky. It'll be difficult conditions, but as you rightly pointed out, we did it in Oslo, and I don't like to use conditions as a kind of way out for you. You know, both teams are playing in it. It's going to be stifling hot, but hopefully our quality will shine through. Cyprus in the game at Hampden, they're a stuffy team. I think overall the Cypriot football has improved over the years. It's not a walkover because, as you know, you've heard umpteen managers say in football now, the international football, there aren't easy games. There are no games where you just turn up and win. So they'll make it difficult, especially with it being here. However, I do think with our confidence, with our belief, with the quality we have in our squad, that we will win the game, and I think we'll end up winning it comfortably.
The last one was tough though here. I did that game with your old mucker Billy Dodds.
Yes.
It was in Nicosia, and it was Stevie Clarke was the manager. It was not even 4 years ago now. They won 2-1. It was such a tight game. I remember Cyprus hit the bar and it came back down. It went over the line, and the age of VAR, it counts, you know. So it was a tight game then. You say comfortable victory. It wouldn't be any surprise if it's another tight affair this time around. Just before we wrap up, I was looking back at 2019. That's when that Cyprus game was last time here. That was the same year when Steve Clarke took over, and he had a very difficult start, difficult fixture lists, back-to-back 4-0 defeats to Belgium and then Russia. And I mentioned to you on the way out here yesterday that one of the quotes I think you came out with on Sportscene was that this team, Scotland, are miles off it when it comes to international football. What a turnaround.
Yeah, it's been massive. I think for us, back then, we didn't have the belief that we have now. We didn't have I think it's a massive part of it. Alright, we've got players playing in top divisions weekly for big clubs, and that helps, but we didn't have the kind of camaraderie and the togetherness that we've got just now. That has been built, and that is part of the success, a big part of the success, that togetherness, and Steve Clarke making us from a team that did in his opening games lose and concede goals to a team that are very, very difficult to break down and very, very difficult to score against. And you've got to really applaud Steve Clarke for the job that he's done in that space of time to make us a completely different animal. We are, from when you know the games that you're describing there, we're a different team now, and we walk with a swagger, and we've earned that. However, complacency will never come into it as well, because Steve Clarke will always make sure that doesn't happen. So it's a very positive time to be a Scotland supporter, and I've got a really good feeling about tomorrow night, and I do think if we win tomorrow night, you can almost book your flights to Germany.
It's crazy to think. It really is. Well, we shall see how they get on. They'll be perhaps even targeting top spot in the group, because
why not?
That would give you a decent draw potentially for the Euro 2024 finals when that's made in Hamburg at the start of December. But one thing at a time. And first off, it's Cyprus in Larnaca. A victory would push the Scots that bit closer to Germany next summer. As I say, they could do it in this international break, depending on results. But I think just for now, Steve Clarke and his players will be focusing on the Cypriots. And that game, which will be live on Sportsound and BBC Radio Scotland, like I say, 7:45 UK time kickoff. The programme's on the air at 6, so lots of time to build up to it. Highlights and sports scene in the evening as well. And myself and Tomo will catch you then. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
BBC Sounds.